Hello, and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be setting up a brand new Calendly account, or we're going to pretend that we're doing that. And I'm going to talk you through your Calendly account settings and how to integrate your calendar, how to create different appointment types, how to make sure that your people are getting their appointment reminders, and just generally which options here are really important and which are ones that you can comfortably ignore for now. So let's get started setting things up. The first place that I always like to go to whenever I create a new account on any new platform is I like to go through the account settings. For Calendly, the place that you're going to want to customize is profile, branding, and my link. So here you can upload your profile image, you can name the account, you can set a welcome message, language, and most importantly, you're going to pick your location as well as your time zone. And you're going to want to make sure that the current time that is displayed down here lines up with the time that it actually is, so that nothing goes wrong when Calendly references your calendar and checks for duplicates and things. Okay, so you're also going to want to customize your logo, and you'll have the option if you would like, and I assume that this is a paid account feature, but you have the option to switch off Calendly branding if you want. And the last thing that I would encourage you to do is to customize your Calendly URL. It's just easier if I'm talking to someone and they're like, oh, where can I book an appointment? I can say, just go to calendly.com/pristine podcasts, and they know where to go. So just makes it easier to use. It makes it easier for me to remember. So yeah, pick something that works for you. Once you've done that, the next thing that you're going to want to do is to connect your calendars. So for that, you're going to go to account and then calendar connections. I use Google Calendars, one for our clients and then one for me personally. You can connect up to 6 accounts. So it isn't a problem for Calendly to reference multiple calendars. Okay, so feel free to add the ones that you do need to add here. And once you've connected the calendars, which really is very simple, you say add calendar account and then you sign into the Google account that you're using, and then you just add it and it appears here in the list. Now, there's 2 things that Calendly can do and does do and has to do. And the first thing is to check for conflicts. And the second thing is to add new appointments to the calendar. So I have set up Calendly to check both my team calendar as well as my personal calendar for conflicts so that it shows me as busy, whether I have an appointment created as me, the team leader, or whether I have an appointment created as me, the individual. Okay. So I have all my calendars checked for any potential conflicts, and if there's any booking already on the calendar, that time will not show as available inside Calendly. However, I only need Calendly appointments added to one calendar, which is my personal calendar, because these are appointments that I attend, and I'm actually the only person on our team that really uses the Google Calendar quite actively. So this is the only place where this appointment needs to get blocked out. Okay, once you've added your calendar connections, the other thing that you may need to do if there's more than one person on your team is to look into the organization settings and how shared event types work, etc. This is something that you can ignore if you are going to be the only person on the Calendly account. Okay? Once you've done that, the next thing that you want to do is to see if there's anything else that you need to integrate with your Calendly account. For that, click over here to the Integrations tab. Now, if you are, for example, using MailChimp to send your email newsletters, then you can integrate the data from Calendly with MailChimp. If you are using Zoom to host meetings and you like to have a new Zoom link generated for each and every single meeting, then you can integrate Zoom. You can integrate Stripe and PayPal, which if you do want to have paid appointment types, you will have to integrate one of them. I don't have the option in Albania to use Stripe, so I am stuck with PayPal. And then, of course, you can connect Zapier, and you can also get to your calendar connections via this page. So have a look at these integrations and see if any of those would be useful in your general business workflows. If they're not, then the next thing that we need to move on to is to define our actual availability. And you would do that under the availability tab. Now, as you can see, I have set up multiple different schedules. I have like my general working hours. Then I have a separate schedule for podcast interviews, mainly because they do take a long period of time. I need some clear space before and after to prep and then kind of, finish up taking notes from the interview. Sometimes I have to record intros and outros after I'm done doing the interview. So I have very specific slots where I am actually happy to do podcast interviews. And then, of course, I have the day of Voxer, but there are some days that are really not suitable in my week to be doing strategic Voxer support with people. So on those days, I am not available for Day of Voxer to be booked. So let's set up a new schedule just so that you can see how it works. So we're just going to call it a video sample, and we're going to say create. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select which event type that this schedule is actually going to work for. Just leave this set to 0 event types. I prefer to have my different schedules created before I go and set up individual events that people can book, because then when I'm setting up the event, I can then just select the schedule that I want to use inside the event. You're going to select the time zone that this event takes place, and then you have the option to switch between a list view and a calendar view. So that depends on simply what your preference is. You can then set weekly hours. So you can, let's say you only work on Fridays, you could leave this on Friday 9 to 5. Or if you have it split into 2, you could do Friday, what am I doing here? 9 to 11, and then you could do again, 13 to 16, and now you would have 2 time slots on the Friday, and then of course you can just bin that if you don't like it. So if those hours are consistent each and every single week, then you would just leave it at Friday 9 to 11, and then every Friday from 9 to 11 this slot is available to be booked, unless there, of course, already is a conflict in your Google Calendar that prevents Calendly from showing this time block as available. Now, it could be that one Friday in 2 months, sadly, on the 25th of February, I would normally be available from 9 to 11 because it's a Friday and this is my default hours for Friday. But this specific Friday, sadly, I am not actually available. So I'm going to bin that and I'm going to say apply. And then you can see over here that this has now appeared as a date override. Let's say I have a dentist appointment that Friday, I'm just not available. So then if we look at this on the calendar view, you will then also see that this Friday we are now unavailable. Okay. So that is how the general scheduling works, okay? So what I like to think of is, how do you divide up the time in your week, When are your prime working hours? Okay, so let's say you're an early bird like me and you work very well from 7 to 11, but you don't work well at all from 2 to 4. So what you might want to do is set up one schedule where you have your strategy type calls, or you have your sales calls if you need to be high energy for those, and you can't do high energy in the afternoon at all. Then you might want to have one schedule that's like a high energy hours, and then you want to have another schedule that's like a low energy hours, okay? And then you can assign your appointment types that we're going to create in a second to the high energy schedule if they're a high energy appointment type, or the low energy schedule if they're like a friendly coffee chat that you might have with another business owner or something like that. Okay? So that is why I like to set up those schedules before I dive into creating the actual appointment type, which is what we're going to do next. Okay, so to set up your appointment types, you're simply going to click up here where it says home, and it will take you back to the front page. Now, here there's kind of quite a few things going on, so I'm just going to give you a tour of this page, and then we're going to set up a new appointment type. So if you did create multiple team members, then you would switch up here between your appointments and your team members' appointments. This is something that I can never find when I work in a client's account. So yeah, it's just this button up here if you want to switch to your assistant's calendar or a salesperson's calendar or your business partner's calendar or whatever else you might want to do. Then up here you have the event types, which is what you're looking at right now. Then you have the scheduled events. So we have a discovery call coming up next week. And then you have the workflows, which are the actual reminder emails that are going to go out before an appointment type. So those are the different options that you have. Now, I already have some event types created down here. So I have a coffee chat that I use for when I want to chat to other business owners, 30 minutes. I have a free discovery call. I have one-to-one coaching. I have podcast interview slots. I have full day and half day of Voxer support. And then I have another free discovery call. One of them has a questionnaire and one of them doesn't have a questionnaire. So that's why I have two discovery calls. And because we don't have any team members, I don't have any shared event types in here. All right, so let's create a new event type. I am going to call that yet again. Oh, we got to pick what event type we're making. All right, so let's pretend for now, to keep it simple, that we're going to create a one-on-one appointment type. Here, I need to give it a name. So I'm going to, again, call it video sample. Now I need to decide, where is this appointment going to take place? Is it in person, phone call, Zoom web conference, or is it custom? If you do integrate your Zoom account and you want a new Zoom link generated each and every single time, then you select Zoom and then you have to go to the integration page to connect Zoom. I personally actually have a Zoom link that I use each and every single time. So I would go to custom and I would say, I don't know, this isn't actually the link, but you know, or maybe it's, let's pretend it's this, okay? And then you can choose if you want the location to be visible while booking or only afterwards. And I usually leave it set to after confirmation because I don't want everyone to have my Zoom link, which is also why I'm not putting my actual Zoom link in here. Now, here you're going to want to give a description of what the person needs to know before they're booking. So in this event, we are going to talk about this with the purpose of achieving that. I look forward to chatting. Then you get to pick the URL that goes after your Calendly link, and you get to pick a color. And that really is everything we need to be doing for the first part. So now you have to decide, how far ahead can people book this appointment? I literally normally set this to like, I don't know, 14 days into the future. Every time I've had people book appointments like 30 days out, it doesn't matter how many reminder emails I send them, they don't show up. So I want people to book appointments when they're ready to have an appointment, not when they're kind of still thinking about it. So I don't like having stuff on my schedule and then I have to rearrange my whole day because somebody doesn't show up. So I keep this time period rather short. I have a lot of appointments available because I just do a lot of sales and marketing calls and coffee chats and stuff. So I I always have a time available, and you will for sure be able to find a time in the next 14 days that's going to work with your schedule and with your time zone. And if not, you can email me. Then I have to decide how long this appointment is. Let's say this is a 60-minute appointment. Then I have to decide which of the schedules that we created under availability, which of those schedules do I want to use. So I'm going to pick the video sample schedule, which means that it's only available from 9 to 11 on Fridays. Then I would like to add a buffer of 15 minutes before and after the event so that I can have a little toilet break or have a little snack or whatever else I might want to do so that I don't end up with appointments stacked back to back to back to back. I usually have a buffer at the end of sales calls because sometimes we do run into some more complex issues and I do take a little bit longer. So I like to not have to cut the sales call at the end when it's like a really uncomfortable moment where I'm often like at the close. So I like to add a bit of buffer. I mean, you could even give yourself a larger break afterwards if you wanted to, but usually I don't need it. Then you could decide if the times shown on the calendar are 5-minute slots, so they can book 2:05, 2:10, 2:15, 2:20, or is it 20-minute slots so they can book 2:20, 2:40, 3 o'clock, 3:20, 3:40, 4 o'clock. It helps those of us who like to start appointments at the full hour or every 15 minutes, but not at 3:25 p.m. So if you hate having an appointment at 3:25 p.m. and you'd rather have it at 3:30, then set this to 30 minutes. Then you need to decide how much notice do you need before an appointment starts. So I like to I don't set this to hours. I set this to at least 1 day. Mostly I set it to 2 days. I really don't like having last minute surprise calls that just come up and they kind of appear on my schedule. And then I was looking forward to having a really chill afternoon, but now it turns out I have a discovery call in 2 hours. I don't know, that sets me into a state of anxiety I'm not interested in being in. So I don't know, if I really need to have the calls a lot, then I'll have it set to 1 day. If not, I have it set to 2 days. Then I always automatically detect the time zone because all of our customers are all around the world, so I need this adjusted. And then you can decide to hide this event from your scheduling page by making it secret. That's useful if it's something that, you just need to send out the link to 1 or 2 people a year and you don't want everyone to see this on your public scheduling page. So I could say, make this a secret event because I don't want an event called Video Sample to appear on my booking page. Okay, so now you have some additional options. You don't have to set those. You can just use this event as is, right? You see here, video sample, here's our logo, here's our profile picture, which technically I guess I could change to it actually being us. Then here's the description, the duration. You get to pick the Friday. Let's say we pick 9:30, confirm, name, email, and then I can basically share, any other info and say schedule event, and we're good to go. Now, there are maybe some additional options that you're going to want to pick. The most popular one, I have to say, are the invitee questions. So one of the things that I've noticed in the past is that if you have a lot of discovery calls that end up not showing up, it could be that the people that are booking discovery calls with you are really just not that interested. So as a result, they book a call, they don't show. They rebook, they don't show. They rebook another time, they don't show. So something that you can do is to use these invitee questions to add a little bit of difficulty to the booking process. So you can basically say things like, hey, why are you looking to work with me? Where did you hear about me? What is it that you are looking to achieve in your business? How would you hope that I could help you with that, etc.? I'm telling you, if I am serious about working with you, I will want to tell you about whether or not I've worked with a copywriter in the past, what they did for me, what worked well, what didn't work well, what project I'm working on, what outcome I'm hoping for when I'm hiring you, etc. So to me, this wouldn't be an outrageous thing to have to do to fill out 3, 4 questions on your booking form. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to notice over time that the people who never turn into clients on discovery calls are the ones that fill out these forms with like 3 words in each box. So they're like, have you hired a copywriter before? Yes. What was your experience? Wasn't good. And stuff like that. So I find that the people who are really committed to finding a solution to their problems will openly share about their problems, and they're very much looking forward to speaking with you. And I know that in the beginning, you might think that it's really important that you get every freaking person on a call with you. But over time, you will learn that the more you pre-qualify people, the wiser you're using your time, right? Because you're not going to get on a call with 20 people and convert 2 of them, but you're only going to get on a call with 10 people and you're going to convert 2 of them. So you've saved yourself 10, 30-minute calls, and your conversion rate when you do get on a call is way better because you're only having calls with people who are actually interested in working with you. So that is something that you can use this invitee question section for. You could just press add a new question, and then you can type in what it is that you want the person to tell you more about, and that can really help. The other thing that you might want to do is create workflows. These are reminders, or well, these are actions of different types, but mostly reminders that get sent to your people when they book an appointment. And I'll show you how those work separately in a second, but you can set those up here. Then you can also point blank just send these bog standard old email reminders. Like you can just turn this on and then it will send the email reminders, but they're kind of going to phase this out at some point in the near future. So it's better that you don't set this up, but you set up workflows instead, because workflows are going to be here to stay. Then you can choose if you would like to use Calendly's confirmation page, or if you would actually like to redirect to a page on your website. This can be useful if you want to give people more information, if you want to keep the branding kind of under control, if there is documents that you want to give to people when they book an appointment, you could upload them to your website and you could send them straight to that page. You also have the option to let people schedule another appointment. I don't really use that at all on the confirmation page. And then you have the option to collect payments. So this appointment costs $20. And then I could, of course, also specify the payment terms. So you could mention, I don't know, your refund policy and things like that in this box. Alrighty, so that is really all it takes for you to set up an appointment. Make sure that when you're done setting up the appointment, it is set to be on so that you can actually use it. You are going to want to set up sending reminders. I will send a million reminders for the podcast interview slot because I set aside like 1.5 to 2 hours to prepare and do the interview and everything, and I don't want to suddenly have to reschedule that. I find those particularly annoying. So I have the most reminders set up, I think, for the podcast interviews. Okay, so let's look at those workflows, and then we are basically already done and you're ready to use your Calendly account, which is kind of crazy. So let's say we want to create a new workflow and we want to send people a confirmation email as soon as they book. I'm going to click up here and say create your own workflow. And I want to say when new event is booked, and that is immediately when the event is booked, do this. I want to send an email to the invitee. Next. Now I'm just going to call this video sample immediately. And this applies to the video sample appointment type that we have just created. So immediately when somebody books in for video sample, I want to send an email. To customize the content of this email, you just press edit And then you get to pick the email address that it's going to get sent from. I'm going to send it from our client address just so that it looks, proper. Then I could use the reminder template, reminder, event name with who it is at this time on this date. Hi, person's full name. I would probably change that. You can use the variables here. I would probably want to say person's first name. Hi, invitee first name. This is a friendly reminder that your video sample with Pristine Podcasts is on this day at this time, or is at this time on this day. Location, it would put the Zoom link here, event descriptions, questions and answers. I don't have any of those set up. So yeah. Then you can decide to include a button where they have to reconfirm. And this is actually a nice option, and I might actually turn that on for a couple of my appointments. Or you can include cancel and rescheduling links. And if this is a paid appointment type, I would also encourage you that you include your cancellation policy in here again, so that in case they do want to cancel their appointment, they are made very aware of what the consequences are. AKA, you will give them a full refund if they cancel more than 48 hours before the appointment start date. If it's closer than 48 hours, then they can have a 50% refund. If it's less than 5 hours, they are not going to get a refund or something like that, So you could include those in the email as well. And then you just say done and you press save. Okay. And that is how you create simple workflows when somebody books an appointment. You don't just have to have one step. You could also add an action, and you could say you also want to send a text message, for example, and then, I don't know, you can just put the text in there and you say done. Now, if you wanted to send additional notifications, then you would create another separate workflow, but this time you would select before event starts. And then you could select 24 hours before, 1 hour before, 5 days before, whatever it is. So you have some flexibility here, done. And then you do the same thing that you did a second ago, and you're just going to customize the text in the email and the text in the text message to say, hey, your appointment is in 1 week. Your appointment is tomorrow. I will see you in 1 hour. Here's your Zoom link. Please come on time and be in a quiet environment. That kind of stuff, right? So you can add as many reminders as you like. All right, so that is really all that you need to know to get started with using Calendly with one person. If you have any other specific questions or any challenges that you've run into with setting up Calendly, be it for clients, be it for coaching, or be it for podcast interviews, which is why I'm recording this, because we have a lot of clients who need scheduling software for their podcast. So, I've recorded this as a bit of a help guide. But yeah, whatever purpose you need to book appointments for, you can probably get it done one way or another. And if not, there are a couple of other scheduling tools that are also interesting and have slightly different features. So I'm going to see if I can maybe sign up for an account for a little while, and then I could do a video on those as well. And then you have a little bit of a comparison as to which one you might want to use. Alrighty, so that's it from me. I hope you have fun setting up your Calendly, and I hope that you get lots of appointments booked and you feel way, way, way more organized. Have an amazing day. Bye.